What's good everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a question that was brought up in one of my recent workshops, which I thought would be worth making a video about. It might seem a bit underrated, but it's actually one of the key factors in improving your street photography, repetition. Repetition is the key to mastering any art form, and street photography is no exception. Whether you're honing your technical skills, developing your style, or training your eye, doing the same thing over and over again is how you get better. So why is repetition so crucial in street photography? First off, it's because street photography is unpredictable. The streets are constantly changing, new faces, new moments, different lighting and different moods. By hitting the streets regularly, you're training your eye to spot those special fleeting moments. The more often you do it, the quicker you become at seeing and capturing those compelling scenes. Think of it like this. Every time you walk down the same street, you're not just photographing what's in front of you. You're training yourself to notice subtleties. Things like how the light hits certain corners at different times of day, or how people move through the space. By revisiting locations or themes, you're sharpening your skills and refining your vision. This is how you build consistency and develop your own unique style. Now let's talk about the technical side of things. Street photography often requires quick reflexes and fast decisions. You don't always have time to think through your camera settings when a moment is unfolding. This is where repetition becomes invaluable. The more you shoot, the more second nature those technical decisions become. Whether it's adjusting your shutter speed, choosing the right aperture for certain depth of field, or knowing how to handle tricky lighting situations, repetition allows you to internalize those settings. Get familiar with your gear. I use shortcuts on my camera. This way, when in the moment, you can focus entirely on the narratives unfolding in front of you without fumbling with your camera. Think of it like driving a car. When you first learn to drive a car, you look down at all the elements to make sure you're doing everything correctly, but after a while, everything becomes second nature. It's exactly the same with your camera settings. Getting out there regularly lets you practice controlling your camera in unpredictable environments. As you improve technically, you'll find yourself being able to react faster and with more confidence. It's this level of comfort with your gear that makes capturing those decisive moments much easier. One of the biggest benefits of repetition in street photography is the way it sharpens your curious eye. And I mean this in two ways. Your ability to see a scene unfolding and your ability to see your own work critically. When you repeatedly go out and shoot, you start to notice patterns. You begin to understand what makes a scene interesting, what compositions work, and how different lighting situations affect your photos. Over time, this repeated exposure to the streets allows you to develop a more refined sense of what to photograph and how to frame it. You'll start noticing details you've missed before, expressions, textures, or interactions that make for truly unique shots. It's not just about seeing what works. It's also about learning from your mistakes. When you shoot often, you'll come home with a lot of images that aren't perfect, and that's actually a good thing. Each of those failed shots is an opportunity to learn. What went wrong? Did you miss focus? Did the light not work out the way you wanted? By going through this process over and over, you fine-tune your ability to anticipate and avoid mistakes in the future. Consistency is one of the hardest things to achieve in street photography, but it's also one of the most rewarding. Shooting regularly allows you to develop a body of work that speaks to your own unique perspective. This is where repetition truly shines. By going back to the same places, shooting similar themes, or even experimenting with the same camera settings, you build a consistent voice in your photography. For example, if you spend a lot of time photographing in one area, like I often do in London's West End, you'll start to build a visual narrative around that location. You'll notice how the light changes with the seasons, how people interact with the space differently at night versus the day, and how certain moments repeat themselves. Over time, these consistent observations become the backbone to your photography style. It's this body of work that reflects your growth as a photographer. It tells a story of the place, but it also tells a story of your evolution, how you've come to see the world through your lens. And that consistency is built through repetition, by showing up again and again. Now let's talk about something a little less technical, the mental benefits of repetition in street photography. The more you hit the streets, the more confident you become in your abilities over time. You'll feel less pressure to get the perfect shot every time because you'll start to trust in the process. You'll learn to enjoy the act of shooting itself, knowing that the more you practice, the better you'll get. And there's something very satisfying about looking back on older work and seeing how far you've come. Repetition allows you to track your progress, to see how your eye, your technique, and your confidence has developed over time. This was certainly the case when I was curating my book and looking through an archive of 10 years worth of work. It was very interesting to see how my eye had focused on different parts of the same scene over and over again. Street photography can sometimes feel intimidating, especially when you're starting out. But the more you shoot, the more comfortable you'll become with being out there, capturing moments in real time. Eventually, like me, the streets become your studio and you learn to trust in your instincts. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Repetition is the foundation of growth in street photography. The more you shoot, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better your photos become. So don't be afraid to go out there, take the same routes, visit the same spots, or try the same techniques. Every time you do, you're honing your skills, refining your vision, and getting one step closer to mastering your craft. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more street photography tips and tutorials. Let me know in the comments how repetition has helped you improve as a photographer, and I'll see you in the next one. Mr. Whisper over and out. Peace.